G'day guys and welcome to another episode of the Ohazassu channel. It's John here in Nagoya, Japan. I'm an Australian who's been here for about 13 years. I live and I work here and I love sharing my experiences in this fantastic country. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, you probably don't know that I do something called Word of the Day at the end of every show. And that's where I introduce a Japanese word that's related to something we've spoken about during the episode. Anyway, let's jump into today's topic, and that's car ownership in Japan. I actually have never owned a car in Japan. I've been here for over 13 years now, and I actually decided to not buy a car, and I'll tell you the reasons why. Why do you think, actually, by the way, that I haven't bought a car? I've spoken to a couple of other people out there who share the same kind of thinking as myself. And it actually comes down to the cost and the convenience. It's not just like a financial thing, it's actually the convenience of it as well. And you might be thinking, but it's more convenient to have your own car. You can get in any time and go wherever you like. And there is some truth to that. I do sometimes wish that I had my own car. I won't lie. Sometimes, like when I was back in Australia and I had my own car, occasionally when, you felt stressed out or you had a long day at work, you just take a nice drive, relaxing drive along the coast or something, and you can just go to a beach and just chill out, listen to the waves. It was a fantastic feeling. And sometimes when I have a long day here in Japan, I kind of wish that I could do that as well, like just without having to book a car and, make a reservation for a rental car or whatever. I sometimes wish I could do that, but you actually can. There are ways around that. You can get car share rentals, which is like, I think Times does it. There's a company called Times, which if you live here, you probably know about it. And there are various companies that do this as well, where you can just register for it and you can just hop in with like a smart card access kind of thing. And you can hop in and drive it for an hour or two. Personally, I still haven't used that service. I don't know what it is about it. I've never found myself sort of desperate enough to go that far with car rentals. I usually just go online, and it's actually just a little app. I use Toyota rental car or car rental. I always mix up what the name of the company is called, but it's run by Toyota, and they actually just have an app, and you go in the app and you tell them where you want to pick it up from and where you want to return it to, and the date, obviously, and what kind of car you want and your details, and that's it. And once you're registered, it's actually really, really easy to book a car. So I'm always like, what's the point? Why would I want to buy a car if it's that easy? And the other thing is, like, the car rental places, if you're in the city, it's only about 5 or 10 minutes to walk to one. And so you really scratch your head and think, why the hell would I spend money on paying for a car rental spot? Because if you live in an apartment like I do, then you have to pay for a car space downstairs. They don't come with the apartment. Whereas back in Australia, usually the car space is included, or you get street parking. And in Japan, there's really no such thing as street parking in most places. I mean, there are places that have it, but most places don't have street parking. And so you have to pay for a car spot, okay? Unless you live in a house, that's a bit different. You might have a carport, and of course you can park it there for free if you own the house and it's part of the package. But if you're renting an apartment like most of us, then you'll be paying an extra like $100 a month or $50 a month, or it obviously depends on where you're living. It can go up, I think, quite high. So that's one of the reasons why I've always decided to just rent. Other things include not needing to wash the car all the time, not needing to vacuum it, not needing to clean it, not needing to worry about someone smashing it or it breaking down. You don't have to change the tires. You don't have to take it out for maintenance. There's a whole bunch of reasons. And I did the math back then. It was like, this is back, 13 years ago when I first got here. And I think the rough calculation that I came up with was that it was going to cost me something like, I think it was a few $1,000s a year to have a car. And then I did the math and I was like, okay, well, how much does it cost to rent a car? And it actually costs, and it hasn't changed much over those last 13 years, even though we've got inflation and we're getting smacked with increased rice prices and anything prices. I mean, meat, everything has gone up and it just keeps on going up and we don't know when it's going to stop. But car rental prices haven't really changed all that much. So it kind of confuses me when that happens with inflation. I'm not like an economics buff or anything, but it's always confused me how stuff can just skyrocket. Things like rice or meat or bread can just skyrocket. And then things like TVs, like high-tech TVs, which you would think are hard to manufacture and, kind of more expensive, they've actually come down. Do you guys remember how much a plasma TV cost when it first came out? I think it was like $20,000 back in Australia. And these days, I was at the, where was it? The Bic Camera or whatever the other day. And I noticed this TV, I swear to God, it was bigger than the elevator. Like, I don't think I could even buy it, even if I wanted it. One, it wouldn't fit through the door in the elevator. Two, I'd have nowhere to put it. You'd need a bloody football field to put that TV in the living room. So, and that thing, where I was going with that is the cost. I think it was only about $3,000 or $4,000, if that. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, how much? How does that stuff come down like to a fifth of the price or whatever it is, and rice has to triple or quadruple or whatever? I don't get it. Anyway, if you have answers, by the way, let me know, because I'm interested to find out what the answer to that is. It's always puzzled me since I was like a teenager or something, and I'm just like, how do these things come down in price and all this other stuff just keeps going up? Anyway, the price of car rentals hasn't really gone up. It's kind of stayed the same. It was about 5,000-6,000 yen a day when I first came here, and it's still 5,000-6,000 yen a day. If you add insurance to that, I like to get the package, just in case, where you don't have to pay like crazy amounts of money in premiums or excess, whatever it's called in insurance terms. So if there's an accident, they take care of everything. I think you might have to pay a little tiny amount, but anyway, that insurance costs, I think, about 1,500 yen a day. Don't quote me on that. It's roughly something like that. But my bill is usually something like 6,000 or 7,000 yen for the whole day, and obviously plus petrol. And so it will never ever go over about ichiman yen a day, which is 10,000 yen, which is like, I don't know, $100 on the simple conversion, but current US rates, ichiman yen is probably something like $70 or something, isn't it, in American dollars? So I did a rough calculation back then, and this still applies to me today, on, based on how often do I actually want to drive, or how often do I need a car? And I thought at most, maybe once every 2-3 weeks, maybe once a month. And based on that calculation, I was like, if it's $100 each time, if I rent one, say once a month, that's like, what, $1,200 a year. And so it's already cheaper, so financially it's better, plus all of the other convenience things which I already mentioned are part of that. You never have to wash, you never have to clean, you never have to get it serviced, you don't have to change tires, you don't have surprise bills that cost $3,000, for a broken transmission or whatever. All this stuff pops up. I know because I had a car back home in Australia, and it's ridiculous. The cost of cars is just ridiculous. So you do the math and it's like, look, unless I need the car every day, or, maybe even 2 times a week, 3 times a week or whatever, you can do the math based on ichiman yen a day for having a car. Unless you're really using it quite a bit, there's really no point, in my opinion, especially if you're in the city. Look, if you're living away from the city, I know a couple of people who live 40, 50 kilometers out of Nagoya. Now, those people actually have to have a car because there's no easily accessible public transport. You can't just walk to the subway in 5 to 10 minutes. You have to, the best you can do is get a bus, and the bus comes once every hour, literally, and only between peak hours. It might start at something like 6 a.m. and the last bus will be at 7 or 8 p.m. So good luck with that if you want to go shopping or whatever. And it's usually a half-hour walk to the bus stop. So in those situations, obviously, you've got no choice but to get a car. So that totally makes sense. But if you're in the city, I really don't understand why you would need a car or want a car, given all of the benefits of car rental, the convenience, the financial side of everything, and all that. The only thing really that I can think of is that you can't just jump in it and go for a drive when you're feeling stressed out or whatever, like I used to do in Australia. So that's the only downside that I can think of. But, with a bit of planning, or if you get used to it, you can just say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to take a day off and I'm going to book a car, and you book it and you just go. and you don't have to worry about anything. And the car's always in great shape. It's almost brand new. It's like they're never over about, 6 months or 12 months old. They're absolutely fantastic and fun to drive. I've never had a bad experience. Knock on wood. I hope I don't have a bad experience on my next rental. But they've always been fantastic and I've always had a great experience. So yeah, that's my little story about car ownership or non-ownership in Japan and why I choose to not buy a car and why I probably will never buy a car. I'm not sure if it'll change one day. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But let me know in the comments what you do when it comes to cars in Japan. Do you own one? Or if you were to come to Japan and live here, would you ditch the whole car ownership idea, or would you want to get a car and continue having your own car, given that it might cost more and, just be more difficult overall, especially if you're in the city? Well, that brings us to the end of the episode, and that means it's time for Word of the Day. Today's Word of the Day, as always, is related to something I've spoken about during the show, and it's going to be connected with car rentals. I'm going to use the word yoyaku for today's Word of the Day. It means booking or reservation. And of course, you're going to be using that when you're booking a car rental or anything to do with reservations, like booking a restaurant and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's a very useful word, and I'm sure a lot of you who live in Japan already know this one. But if you're tuning in from overseas, and I know quite a few of you are, I can see you increasing in the analytics, and thank you very much for tuning in from overseas as well. I'm sure it's going to be a word that you'll find useful when you visit Japan. Anyway, that's all for today's episode, and I hope to see you in the next one, which is going to be about some of my most embarrassing mistakes in the Japanese language, or stories about them. Anyway, I hope to see you then. Oh, by the way, if you want to support my channel and you like the video, please like this one and subscribe to the channel and tell your friends about it. Why not? Thanks very much again, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye for now.